guess where we are? I mean, this place is so incredible. I love to hike to waterfalls. There's something about the power and the majesty of all that water coming down that makes me remember how great God is and how much He loves me. I hope you feel that too. Today, I want to read you a story from Bible Stories Rock. We are going to read the story about Joshua and how he led the children of Israel across this giant, thick, heavy, deep river that was impossible to cross without a boat, and they didn't have a boat. So we're going to tell that story today, and then I'm going to show you the rocks coming together. I collect rocks and pebbles when I'm out hiking, and then I like to tell stories of Jesus with those rocks and pebbles. And the reason I decided to tell the stories of the Old Testament is because they teach us how to be powerful, how to walk with God in His power and have miracles in our lives. And so this is one of those stories. Now, you might remember the story that I told about Moses and him parting the Red Sea, or you can go back and watch that. I'll put a link to the video here. But there's another story that's very similar. It's when Joshua parted the Jordan River. Now, these two stories are about 40 years apart. So the people that actually got to be part of this story and walk across the Jordan River, they weren't part of the story when Moses parted the Red Sea. So it's different people. And I think God wanted them to have a great miracle too, so they could know that God is great, the greatest, and that He can perform miracles in their lives. So let's read that story. After Moses parted the Red Sea, so the Israelites could escape their enemies, the people traveled through the desert for 40 years, learning how to hear and obey God. It took a long time for them to change from thinking themselves as slaves to believing they were free children of God with a divine identity. When they were finally ready to enter into the land God had promised them, Moses went to heaven, and Joshua became the new prophet leader. The great Jordan River blocked their way into the promised land. The people of Israel, now numbering in the millions, needed another miracle. They had heard stories of their parents and grandparents crossing the Red Sea on dry ground, and now it was time to experience the power of God for themselves. They also needed to know that their new prophet walked with God and could lead them like Moses had. Joshua prayed for help. That's always a good thing to do when you're stuck. And God told him the water would not part until the priests first walked into the water with faith that God would part it. So instead of just parting and saying, okay, go ahead, God required them to have faith first, and they had to go down and put their feet in the water and trust that a miracle would happen. They had to trust God, face their fears, and walk right into the water before anything would happen. They had to believe the miracle would come before they saw any evidence of it. So the priests waded into the water, and sure enough, the waters split apart, piled up on both sides, and the Israelites walked through the Jordan River on dry ground. Moving forward in faith invites God to perform miracles for us. So, as you know, in each story there's an important question that we ask. It's a question that you can answer and talk to with your parents or your friends or maybe a Sunday school teacher. The question is, what blessings have you or someone you know experienced after acting in faith? Maybe you could talk that over with somebody that you love. Okay, well, I want to show you a little bit more about these amazing woods. You might notice that a lot of the trees are burned down. They're not green anymore because there was a big giant fire in the woods and it burned everything. But you'll also notice that it's very green out here, and I'll show you bunches of pictures. And that's what happens after a big fire. Then eventually life comes back, and it's even greener than before, and it's so beautiful. And then all the things will eventually grow back. And that's how God works in our lives. Really hard things can happen, but then after the things are over, God helps life come back and things grow again and be beautiful again. That's the promise God gives us because Jesus came to earth It allows everything to grow and to heal. Okay, well, if you want to watch another video and tell another story inside of Bible Stories Rock, then you can just click on the next video. Until next time, don't forget, you're powerful when you walk with God. Well, I'm in a burned out forest. It's beautiful. 2 years ago, a huge fire came through this part of Oregon. It's outside of Glide. I'm on the Susan Creek Falls hike. And it used to be so green and dense that you could hardly even see the trail, much less through the woods. But now that it burned everything, you can see a lot. And I just wanted you to see what it looks like in a burned forest. But do you notice how green it is? It's all coming back and growing back. It's Mother Nature's way of cleansing and starting over. And all of this burned out carbon is so good for the soil. So it's beautiful. Look at, can you hear the creek? We're walking next to this creek all the way. Let me get you a good picture of it. Oh, that rock. How's that? Amazing. Nothing better than going hiking. Oh, it's so pretty. Oh, we found Susan Creek Falls. Look at that. Salmon like to climb up this creek when the water's a little higher.